Semper Fi, everyone, and welcome to the latest installment of Recon Jack. I'm your host, United States Marine Corps veteran and living historian Chuck Lynch. On today's episode, I'll discuss the history of Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, which is a major West Coast base of the United States Marine Corps. In 1769, a Spanish expedition led by Captain Gaspar de Portola explored northward from Laredo, Baja California Sur, seeking to reach Monterey Bay, something never before done overland by Europeans. On 20 July, the expedition arrived in the area now known as Camp Pendleton, and as it was the feast day of St. Margaret, they christened the land in the name of Santa Margarita. The expedition went on to establish military outposts and Franciscan missions at San Diego and Monterey. During the next 30 years, 21 missions were established, the most productive one being Mission San Luis Rey, just south of the present-day Camp Pendleton. At that time, San Luis Rey Mission had control over the Santa Margarita area. After 1821, following the Mexican War of Independence from Spain, some of the former members of the Portola expedition who had stayed were awarded large land grants, or ranchos, by Mexican governors. The retired soldiers were joined as rancheros by prominent businessmen, officials, and military leaders. They and their children, the Californios, became the landed gentry of Alta California. In 1841, two brothers, Pio Pico and Andres Pico, became the first private owners of Rancho Santa Margarita. More land was later added to the grant, giving it the name of Rancho Santa Margarita Las Flores, which stayed with the ranch until the Marine Corps acquired it in 1942. The design of the ranch's cattle brand is seen in the base's logo today. In 1863, an Englishman named Don Juan Forster, Pio Pico's brother-in-law, paid off Pico's gambling debts in return for the deed to the ranch. During his tenure as owner, he expanded the ranch house, built in 1827, and developed the rancho into a thriving cattle industry. Forster's heirs were forced to sell the ranch in 1882 because of a series of droughts and a fence law that forced Forster to construct fencing around the extensive rancho lands. The ranch was purchased by wealthy cattleman James Clare Flood and managed by Irishman Richard O'Neill, who was eventually rewarded for his faithful service with half ownership. Under the guidance of O'Neill's son, Jerome, the ranch made a profit of nearly $500,000 annually, and the house was modernized and refurnished. In the early 1940s, both the Army and the Marine Corps were looking for land for a large training base. The Army lost interest in the project, but in February 1942, it was announced that the 122,798 acres of Rancho Santa Margarita Las Flores would be transformed into the largest Marine Corps base in the country. The base was named for Major General Joseph Henry Pendleton, who had long advocated the establishment of a West Coast training base. Construction began in April as a temporary facility built to minimum standards of wood frame construction. After 5 months of furious building activity, the 9th Marine Regiment, under then Colonel Lemuel C. Shepard Jr., marched more than 50 miles over the course of more than 4 days starting 1 September 1942 from Camp Elliott, which is now part of Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego, to Camp Pendleton to be the first troops to occupy the new base along with Marines of the 12th Regiment. On 25 September 1942, President Franklin Roosevelt officially dedicated the base. Wartime training facilities at the base included Landing Craft School, Amphibious Tractor School, Beach Battalion School, Amphibious Communication School, Naval Construction Battalion Training Center, and a Medical Field Service School at the Naval Hospital at Santa Margarita Ranch, now Naval Hospital Camp Pendleton. By October 1944, Camp Pendleton was named a permanent installation. The facility was used as a discharge base for service members returning from Europe and Asia after the end of World War II, and it became the home of the 1st Marine Division in 1947 when the division returned from the Pacific. During the Korean War, $20 million helped expand and upgrade existing facilities, including the construction of Camp Horno. When Camp Pendleton trained the country's fighting force for the Korean and Vietnam Wars, approximately 200,000 Marines passed through the base on their way to the Far East. Beginning in 1954, Camp Pendleton has hosted a variation of basic training familiarization for teenagers aged 14 to 17. This training, called Devil Pups, promotes physical fitness, instills discipline, and promotes love of country and the Marine Corps. The camp's stables display a plaque and statue commemorating a horse named Sergeant Reckless, who served as a decorated Marine in the Recoilless Rifle Platoon Anti-Tank Company, 5th Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division during the Korean War. In 1975, Camp Pendleton was the first U.S. military base to provide accommodations for Vietnamese evacuees in Operation New Arrivals. Over 50,000 refugees came to the base in the largest humanitarian airlift in history. Camp Pendleton has continued to grow through renovations, replacing its original tent camps with more than 2,626 buildings and over 500 miles of roads. Preservation of Camp Pendleton heritage and Marine Corps history is always ongoing. The original ranch house has been declared a National Historic Site as well as a Los Flores adobe. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Recon Jack, and perhaps you've learned something new. Stay tuned for part 2 of this episode as I continue to explore the hallowed history, traditions, and individuals of the United States Marine Corps. Please feel free to like this video, subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell, and leave a comment in the section below. I always enjoy interacting with you folks and seeing the growth of this channel. Also, don't hesitate to tell a friend or family member or email me directly to recon_jack@hotmail.com. Until next time, Semper Fi, and carry on.